They ignore you, not because you are weak, but because you are predictable. You speak, and they already know the tone. You react, and they already know the shape of your feelings. You explain yourself, and they already know your need to be understood. That is why they disrespect you. People do not value what they fully understand. They do not fear what is easy to read. They do not honor what they can access at any time. Let that truth settle. Let it pierce through the delusion that kindness will return loyalty, that patience will teach others to treat you well. It will not. In the real world, emotions are not a virtue. They are an offering, and the more you give, the less you have. The more you share, the more they take. This is not bitterness, it is arithmetic. Emotional accessibility is a currency, but it loses value with overuse. Every apology, every overreaction, every attempt to explain your side devalues you in the eyes of those who are watching. Because they are always watching. People test others without saying they are testing. They push limits quietly. They provoke reactions silently. Not because they are evil, but because it is how power works. In every room, there is hierarchy. Not by title, not by appearance, but by emotional dominance. The one who can stay calm under attack. The one who reveals nothing. The one who can withhold words and make silence feel louder than any argument. That is the person who controls the pace of interaction. Understand this. Emotions do not make you human. They make you readable. And what is readable can be manipulated. What is transparent can be exploited. When you show too much of yourself, you become easy to move. And in a world that prizes control, being easy to move is the same as being easy to defeat. They do not betray you because you are unworthy. They betray you because they calculated that your reaction would not cost them enough. They do not dismiss you because you have nothing to offer. They dismiss you because they have seen how quickly you forgive, how easily you explain away their offenses, how much of your power you give in return for peace. This is where the transformation begins. You must learn emotional neutrality, not indifference. That is what cowards choose. You must be able to feel fully, but reveal nothing. You must speak rarely, but when you do, speak like a verdict. You must withdraw when tested, not out of fear, but to let absence teach the lesson your words never could. Your silence must say what your voice cannot. Your eyes must say what your hands will not do. Do not argue. They want argument because it gives them more data. They want your rage because it confirms their effect. They want your defense because it gives them the script. Do not give it. Stay still. If someone disrespects you and your energy does not shift, they will recalculate. If someone betrays you and you offer no explanation, no plea, no access, they will feel the weight of your withdrawal in ways they cannot explain, even to themselves. This is how leaders emerge. Not by being loved, not by being loud, but by becoming unreadable and therefore unshakable. You must remove the emotional openings they used to reach you. Close every window. Fortify every door. If they cannot reach your mind through emotion, they will lose their grip on you entirely. You do not need to announce your evolution. Let your silence do that. You do not need to display your strength. Let your indifference prove it. When they say, "You have changed," simply nod. They are right. You have changed. You are no longer running on the currency of emotion. You are now operating in the realm of control. You do not chase. You do not plead. You do not perform. You wait. You calculate. You move when it matters. They will feel it. They will not say it, but they will feel it. Let us go deeper. The average person believes that expressing emotions is honest, that being open is virtuous, that transparency builds trust. But in truth, the more you reveal, the more leverage you hand over. People do not study your words. They study your reactions. They map your triggers. They learn where your strength collapses into need. And once they learn, they test. Not all tests come with malice, but all tests are real. And if you fail enough of them, you will be seen as someone who can be moved, manipulated, overruled. There is a law of power few admit. Predictability breeds contempt. If they know how you will react, you are no longer dangerous. You are no longer a factor to be considered. You are merely a reaction waiting to be provoked. You must rewire this. Begin by becoming aware of how often you explain yourself. Every time you do, you reveal your need to be understood, and that need is a weakness. Do not explain. Do not justify. Do not broadcast your internal weather. The less they know, the more they respect. The more they guess, the more they hesitate. Emotional mastery is not about suppression. It is about separation. You feel everything. You reveal nothing. That is power. Do not confuse kindness with safety. People often exploit those who are emotionally available because they expect no consequence. They treat calm as weakness, softness as permission. That is why silence must be your first correction. When someone disrespects you, do not correct them with words. Correct them with absence, with delayed responses, with withdrawal of warmth. That is the language they remember. Respect is not built through declarations. It is built through controlled distance, through becoming less available, through reducing access without warning. You owe no one your presence, especially those who have not proven themselves worthy of it. Your reactions teach people how to treat you. If you react with softness to sharpness, you teach them that your boundaries are flexible. If you react with emotion to disrespect, you teach them that they control your center. Control cannot be demanded. It must be demonstrated. You demonstrate control by keeping your emotional energy within your own jurisdiction. If they insult you and you respond with silence, you teach them their words have no reach. If they try to provoke and you stay composed, you show them they are irrelevant to your internal stability. That is where the true fear begins. Most people rely on emotional influence to gain power. When that fails, they collapse, because they do not know what to do with someone who cannot be shaken, who cannot be baited, who cannot be turned into a mirror of their chaos. You are not that mirror. You are the wall that does not echo. Learn this. The strongest move is no move. The sharpest response is none. The final word is often the silence that follows the last insult. Do not confuse this with passivity. You are not avoiding conflict. You are controlling its terms. You are choosing to let your silence be the punishment, your absence be the correction, your neutrality be the lesson, and it will be felt deeply. They will feel it in the time it takes for you to reply, in the way your energy no longer meets theirs, in the way your presence no longer bends to please. They will feel it in the coldness of your composure, in the clarity of your boundaries, in the sharp line between what you allow and what you do not tolerate. You do not need to warn them. You do not need to threaten. You simply become unavailable to their nonsense, and they learn. They always learn. Eventually, this is the path of the leader, not the loudest, not the kindest, but the one who cannot be read, cannot be rushed, cannot be moved by anything other than choice. This is what separates the player from the piece. The piece waits to be moved. The player sees the board for what it is and moves only when gain is certain. The player controls the pace. The piece reacts. You are not here to react. You are here to control. Emotion is a tool, not a guide. Feel it, then shelve it. Never lead with it. And when you master this, people will begin to speak of you differently. They will say you have changed. They will say you are distant. They will say you are not as warm. That is fine. Leaders are not remembered for their warmth. They are remembered for their control. Now that you understand control, let us speak of unpredictability. Predictability is the leash they use to lead you. If they can forecast your anger, they will provoke it. If they can anticipate your forgiveness, they will abuse it. If they know what wins your attention, they will bait you with it. Predictability is not a personality flaw. It is a tactical disadvantage. It allows others to simulate your reactions in their heads long before they face the consequences. That is why they do not fear you. Because in their mind, they have already lived through the scenario and nothing changed. To become a true strategist, you must build in uncertainty. Become quiet when they expect noise. Become distant when they expect explanation. Delay response when they expect urgency. And withdraw when they expect a plea. People fear what they cannot predict, and in that fear they correct themselves. It is not cruelty, it is design. People behave better when they are unsure of the result, and they misbehave when they believe your forgiveness is guaranteed. You must become the kind of person whose emotional weather they can no longer track. Let them wonder. Let them ask, is he angry? Let them hesitate before pressing again. Let them sit in silence, unsure if they have gone too far. That hesitation is power. You do not need to control others directly. You only need to control your emotional visibility. From that alone, their behavior changes. Understand that the world is not built for emotional honesty. It is built on the perception of strength. People do not follow what they feel. They follow what they respect. And respect is built on restraint. The one who moves last holds the advantage. The one who reveals less holds the advantage. The one who can stand in stillness while others unravel, that is the one who leads without raising their voice. You must become emotionally multilingual, able to feel everything, but speak nothing unless it serves you. Able to register disrespect, betrayal, manipulation, and yet respond in a way that denies the offender emotional oxygen. When someone crosses a line, they expect one of two things: confrontation or surrender. Give them neither. Give them silence. Let them talk to the version of you that no longer responds. Let them wrestle with their own echo. This will do more to reform them than any emotional performance you could ever give. Because no one fears an outburst, but they fear the void. It is in your stillness that people sense consequences. It is in your restraint that people sense depth. It is in your ability to walk away without ceremony that people finally realize what they had and what they have now lost. You do not walk away to prove a point. You walk away because staying would train them to believe that nothing must change. Never train them to believe that your presence is permanent. They must understand that access to you is not a right. It is a privilege that expires with disrespect, and you must enforce that rule not with words but with your disappearance. Words are cheap. Emotions are cheaper. Distance is final. And when they try to return, you must not meet them where they left you. You must meet them in your new place, colder, calmer, higher. Let them feel the difference. Let them see that you did not pause your growth to wait for their apology. Because power is not built in the confrontation, it is built in your reaction to it, or your lack of reaction. The less they can read you, the more careful they become. The less they understand your silence, the more weight it carries. The more they fear your absence, the more they respect your presence. This is not manipulation. This is strategy. It is the discipline of kings, the restraint of generals, the silence of true leaders. You are no longer moved by what they say. You are no longer led by what they feel. You are no longer defined by what they understand. You are now something else. You are not an answer. You are a consequence. You must now understand the value of emotional distance. Not physical distance. Emotional distance. Most people carry the disease of needing to be liked. They walk into rooms wondering who will approve of them. They tailor their words. They soften their edges. They betray themselves in quiet, subtle ways just to avoid disapproval. This is not kindness. This is weakness wrapped in the mask of diplomacy. Emotional distance is the cure. When you enter a room and require nothing, you command everything, because those who need nothing are harder to move, harder to exploit, harder to control. If you are always available, always receptive, always affected, then they know your price. And when they know your price, they stop paying attention to your value. Step back, not to escape, but to observe. Detachment is the gateway to strategy. Feel less, and you will see more. When you are too close to a situation emotionally, you miss the pattern. You confuse noise with signal. You mistake chaos for urgency. But when you pull back, you begin to see the cycle. They push. You react. They test. You explain. They cross a boundary. You debate it. This cycle ends the moment you stop participating emotionally. You must train yourself to respond without investment, to observe without absorption, to decide without pressure. Emotion clouds judgment. That is why manipulators rush you. That is why they provoke you, because as long as you are reacting, you are not thinking. This is why silence and time are your greatest allies. When someone attacks you, pause. When someone pressures you, delay. When someone disrespects you, vanish. Each act of emotional control is a lesson to those who are watching. You do not owe them a reaction. You owe yourself clarity. There will be times when silence feels unnatural, when you will want to correct the lie, defend your name, reclaim the moment. Resist. The moment you defend your name to people who have already decided to misunderstand it, you lose. Do not defend your reputation. Strengthen your reality. Reputation is managed by the crowd. Reality is managed by you. Let the crowd whisper. Let them fill in the silence with their own stories. They will do it anyway, but your stillness will make their stories feel hollow. Because silence, when sustained, becomes a force of its own. The most dangerous man in the room is not the one who shouts. It is the one who smiles while others unravel, who waits while others waste energy, who holds still while others reveal too much. Be that man. And if you must speak, speak sparingly. Speak like you are placing weight, not just words. Let every sentence feel earned. Let every word carry intent. Avoid over-explaining. People rarely listen to explanations, but they never forget a presence that made them uncomfortable. Power is not about aggression. It is about control. And there is no greater control than being immune to emotional sabotage. You must remove the buttons they use to press. You must become unreadable. You must become emotionally minimalist. Give them no fuel. Give them no closure. Give them no mirror. When they try to provoke you, let them face themselves. And as you rise in power, they will call you cold. Let them. They do not understand discipline. They mistake emotional chaos for authenticity. Let them speak from their emotion. You will speak from your outcome. Never forget this. The more emotionally predictable you are, the more power you lose. Your unpredictability is protection. Your stillness is pressure. Your silence is surveillance. Let others seek validation. You seek leverage. Let others beg for understanding. You keep your distance. Let others exhaust themselves in noise. You become the quiet problem no one knows how to solve. Because true leaders do not compete in volume. They dominate in presence. Now we speak of transformation. The emotional person survives from moment to moment. The strategic person survives across decades. One lives by reaction, the other lives by design. You must now strip away the last illusion that your emotions serve you in moments of power. They do not. Emotion, when visible, serves others. It gives them something to push, something to steer, something to predict. That is why the wise conceal. You do not hide because you are afraid. You hide because revelation is expensive. You protect because access is leverage. The less they know, the more they imagine. And imagination is always more intimidating than truth. You do not reveal anger, because anger exposes care. You do not reveal sadness, because sadness exposes hope. You do not reveal jealousy, because jealousy exposes insecurity. You feel all of it, but you show none of it, because the minute they see your emotion, they stop fearing your control. Become the man whose eyes never shift, the man whose pace never changes, the man who walks through betrayal, rejection, and disrespect and never leaks a single signal of damage. You are not numb. You are armored. To reach this level, you must kill the habit of defending your perspective. Most people want to be seen as right. You want to be seen as untouchable. Being right is temporary. Being unreadable is permanent. You do not correct every lie. You let the lie rot on its own. You do not confront every offense. You let absence punish what words cannot. You do not answer every question. You leave gaps that only the strong will dare to approach. And in doing so, you begin to radiate a new kind of power. Not one based on fear, not one based on love, one based on calculated distance. A power that does not beg to be noticed but is always felt. This is the art of emotional austerity. Giving only what is earned, responding only when it creates advantage, revealing only when it shifts the balance. To those who manipulate through guilt, this silence will suffocate. To those who thrive on chaos, your stillness will terrify. To those who play games, your refusal to participate will break them, because people do not know how to fight what they cannot touch. They can insult you, but you do not respond. They can misrepresent you, but you do not explain. They can provoke you, but you do not react, and each time you remain still, they become more aware of the space between your presence and their powerlessness. That space, that growing silence becomes a mirror, one they cannot look into without seeing their own pettiness reflected back at them. This is how leaders are formed, not in bursts of rage, not in emotional speeches, but in sustained control, in consistency, in the refusal to break character, no matter the storm. You must now treat your emotions the way kings treat gold, valuable, guarded, and never displayed for free. People will try to lure it out of you. They will say you are heartless. They will say you have changed. They will accuse you of being too cold, too logical, too distant. Accept it. Let them talk. Because what they are really saying is this: you no longer give us control. You no longer allow access without cost. You no longer feed us with your emotional compliance. They are correct. You are not cold. You are composed. You are not cruel. You are calculated. You are not distant. You are simply disciplined. And in this discipline, you become the one they cannot bend, the one they cannot read, the one they cannot prepare for. That is the final stage. You do not rise by being more emotional than others. You rise by mastering what they never will: restraint. Now, let us address what follows after you become unreadable. The world will respond. Some with awe, some with fear, some with subtle resistance, but most with confusion. They will not understand why they no longer have the same effect on you, why their tactics no longer land, why the energy they once fed on now returns nothing, and in that confusion, they will show themselves. People who only respected your emotional openness will drift. Let them. People who only stayed close because they could predict you will step back. Let them. This is not loss. This is the clearing of noise. This is the silence before clarity. Only through emotional discipline do you begin to see who truly values your presence, not for what you give emotionally, but for what you represent in substance. When you remove your emotional reactions, you remove their power. They can no longer guilt you. They can no longer lure you into arguments. They can no longer bait you into proving your worth. You have stopped speaking their language, and in doing so, you rise above their reach. This is where the real work begins, not in building silence, but in holding it. Holding silence when you want to lash out. Holding distance when they beg for closeness. Holding your center when the world pulls at every edge. Do not flinch. Do not fold. Do not fall into the trap of explanation. Because once you have mastered your emotions, the next test is consistency. Power must be sustained. A moment of weakness can unravel years of discipline. One emotional slip, a message sent in anger, a response driven by pain, and they will sense the crack. They will return through that crack, and you will have to rebuild the wall. It is better not to break it all. So choose your silence over every argument. Choose your calm over every demand for drama. Choose your poise over every call for emotional proof. Understand this: the more emotionally detached you become, the more emotionally provocative others will act around you. They will try harder to get a reaction. They will raise their voice, use nostalgia, guilt, even kindness laced with intent. Do not react. If you respond to a test, you reward it. If you reward it, it repeats. Your coldness is not cruelty. It is calibration. You are teaching the world how to engage with you, with structure, with respect, with caution. You are not playing the game anymore. You are shaping it. And as your reputation grows, as the perception of your distance spreads, new people will approach you differently. They will speak more carefully, move more intentionally, treat your time as scarce, your attention as earned, your words as final. This is not intimidation. This is influence. You no longer need to demand respect. It is given because you have built the silence that enforces it. Remember, emotional discipline is not about being unaffected. It is about being unmoved by what does not deserve movement. You do not become a leader by being louder. You become a leader by becoming harder to manipulate. You do not become stronger by feeling less. You become stronger by reacting less. In the end, mastery is not about controlling others. It is about becoming unshakable, so that others must adjust to you. Let them adjust. Let them learn that you are no longer the person who seeks validation, no longer the person who reacts just to feel seen, no longer the person who explains, defends, or proves anything. You are now the presence that says nothing and changes everything. You are now approaching the final layer, the quiet at the top. It is not noisy here. There is no applause, no warmth, no congratulations. There is only space clean, still, and cold. Because once you master your emotions, you lose the need for external confirmation. You stop seeking reactions. You stop waiting for validation. You stop needing others to see your worth in order to feel it. This is the price of power. You must walk alone to own yourself completely. And here is the truth most cannot bear. Control comes with detachment. You cannot need those you lead. You cannot depend on those you influence. You cannot collapse when misunderstood, underestimated, or hated. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be unshakable. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected. And if not respected, then feared. And if not feared, then removed. But never controlled. To live at this level means living without the emotional noise that governs most people. They move from approval to approval, from crisis to crisis, from betrayal to apology. You move from silence to silence. And through this, you become something else. Not a man reacting to the world, but a force reshaping it. Every silence you hold creates pressure. Every absence you maintain teaches consequence. Every emotion you deny them sharpens the weight of your presence. This is how leaders govern without words. This is how kings dominate without raising their voice. This is how the most feared men in history moved through betrayal with grace, not grief. You must ask yourself now, are you still looking for closure from people who do not deserve conversation? Are you still handing your emotional power to those who cannot manage their own? Are you still explaining your worth to people who knew it and tested it anyway? If so, stop. That is no longer your role. You are no longer a student of emotional survival. You are now a practitioner of emotional sovereignty. That means you do not explain. You do not react. You do not chase. You do not bleed in front of those who caused the wound. You step back. You harden. You correct them with absence. And you let your new silence carry more weight than your old voice ever did. Understand this final truth. You do not need to raise your standards. You only need to enforce them. Without warning, without emotion, without compromise. Let the undisciplined fall away. Let the unstable blame your silence. Let the manipulators rot in confusion. Let those who expected your weakness be crushed by the weight of your distance. Because the moment you begin to protect your emotions like gold, the world starts treating you like a vault. And nothing is more powerful than a man who does not flinch, does not beg, and does not break character under pressure. You are now that man. If this spoke to something you never had words for, share this with someone who needs to hear it.